I guess during this year's graduation, there was some discussion in Texas about whether or not the schools should allow religious speeches. Hopefully, those that did allow managed to get some kind of non-sectarian speech, but they shouldn't have had them at all. It's a violation of the separation of church and state, which I really wish more people would actually understand and grasp. So if you're a Christian sitting at home, or some other religionist, although I think most of the rest of you probably get this since you're not in the majority, pay attention for a few minutes. In Jacksonville, Florida, the class valedictorian in one of the schools got up the other day to give the speech. And in that speech, she talked about her love for Jesus and how Jesus was all important and how we were burdened with sin and how all the people out in the audience who didn't accept Jesus would descend into hell because of that burden of sin. And some people are pretty ticked off about this, and with very good reason. There's no reason for us to take a good cause for celebration and turn it into a divisive piece of sectarian crap where you get to spew your moral high ground and threaten everybody else out there. It's obscene and it's absurd. A lot of schools, especially younger elementary schools, have what's known as backpack mail, where they send home flyers and things with the kids, the information that needs to get to parents. And some of it deals with school schedules and maybe lunch menus and special events. Some of it also deals with things that are going on in the community that are outside the school, but things that teachers or parents and students might want to know about. Maybe there's going to be some big picnic in the park, and they want to get the word out. A soccer game, whatever. But they had a good policy, one of these schools, that the message that you sent out in the backpack was not allowed to be partisan, sectarian, political, or religious. Good policy. Make sure that we're not marginalizing different groups. Make sure that we're not being divisive. And yet Jerry Falwell's organization went to the school district and said, you know what? We don't think this is really very fair. We'd like to remove this exclusion of religion so that we can actually hand out religious flyers and information to these kids. And the school district, and some of you out there won't believe this, said yes. Sure, you can do that. We had this completely workable policy, but now we're going to make an exception for religion. Despite the First Amendment, despite what's actually right, we're going to go ahead and make an exception. And if I'd have heard about this, I'd have ranted about it a long time ago. This is asinine completely, but that's okay. Because what happened was a few pagans from the Unitarian Universalist Church took advantage of this new decision and sent the kids home with some flyers about paganism. Guess what happened next? The Christians threw a fit. Some of them even threatened to sue, and they were sitting there talking about how, oh, this is terrible. You're poisoning the minds of our children, and oh, I've never laughed so hard in my life. Welcome to a wonderful taste of your own stupidity. So many of these people falsely proclaim to support religious freedom and freedom of expression, and really all they care about is the freedom to express their religion. As soon as somebody else does it, it's a problem. Also, they sent these students home with some information on Camp Quest, or the Freethinkers camp, the camp where we don't bother to try and pump kids full of Jesus talk. Oh boy, they threw a fit about that too. So now they're all up in arms, and this wonderfully good idea that these people were pushing has backfired on them. And in a stunning stroke of irony, one of the women who was so vocally opposed to this pagan literature said that this is an abomination, we should get rid of this pagan literature, and I sincerely hope that we bring God back to school because we need him.
That's just what you did.
Can you get more ironic? You made a move to bring your God back to school, and you were forced by religious freedom to let anybody bring their God back to school, and now you're going to complain and say you can't allow that. You can't allow them to do that, but you should allow us to bring our God back to school. You complete ignorant hypocrite. How about this? If you've got a blank piece of paper, is that piece of paper an advertisement for atheism? There's nothing on it. There's a cartoon I saw recently where you've got a couple guys going door to door, handing out a pamphlet, and the guy looks at it and says, "There's nothing on this," and they say, "Yeah, we're atheists." There was a brilliant essay written last year that we actually talked about. A guy went to, I think it was Hawaii, and attended a high school football game.
Yes.
He was thrilled to find out that before the football game started, they were actually going to have a prayer. Until they started the prayer. And it turned out to have been some sort of Hawaiian tribal traditional prayer. And he was shocked and offended. But he didn't throw a fit like this stupid person who I just finished talking about. What he did was he came to a very important realization, and that is keeping church and state separate protects everybody of all religions. This isn't about making sure your religion stays protected. It's about protecting everybody's right to believe what they want. It's about protecting everybody's free expression and everybody's free religion. And this person who used to favor school prayer is now opposed to school prayer because he saw what it was like to be on the other side of it. And it doesn't matter, for example, if this valedictorian in Jacksonville, instead of talking about Jesus, had talked about Muhammad, I think some people might have got a clue. If instead of talking about Jesus, she'd have preached about Scientology, I think even more people might have caught on. And one of these days, maybe some people will realize, maybe most of us will realize, that the best course of action is to completely keep them separate. You can have a wonderful celebration, you can have a normal day, and have your own beliefs. You can even express them in public to other people who are interested. But when you're involved in official state-sponsored actions, when you're there to represent a diverse community, to actually be sectarian, divisive, most people start to get that. But what they don't get is that they often say we need some kind of nonpartisan appeal to God. Hello? It doesn't matter that you've removed your partisanship. You've ignored this one divide between your appeal to God and people who think that that's absolutely insane. Why would you need to appeal to God? Why do you need to tell us about the fact that you need to appeal to God? I'm not saying keep it all to yourself. You're free to proselytize. You're just not free to do it in public settings that are state-sponsored, like school graduations and things. There's no reason for it to be there. And everybody benefits if it's not. You maintain your rights. You maintain your beliefs. And you don't have to worry about yourself being offended or you offending someone else. That's the way you build a cooperative community. That's the way you have and express true freedom. And it's absolutely obscene to me to think that this is still going on, where people are trying to circumvent good laws, good rules. And then when it backfires, oh, wait a minute, I didn't think about that. Why don't you think before you act? Do us all a favor. But that's my rant for this week. No.